Good afternoon, guys. As you know me, I am Dr. William Lee, and once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be very special for all of you, so will you watch the video till the end? Let me start with a powerful question. What if I told you that you could eat a fully plant-based diet, hit high protein targets, protect your muscles, stabilize your blood sugar, and actively slow biological aging all at the same time? Because here's the truth. Most people think vegan means low protein. Most people think high protein means animal-based, and most people think longevity means eating less and feeling weak. But what if those assumptions are wrong? What if the real problem isn't whether your diet is vegan or high protein, but whether it's metabolically intelligent? Here's what's really going on inside your body. Aging is not just about wrinkles. It's about insulin resistance. It's about chronic inflammation. It's about mitochondrial decline. It's about loss of lean muscle mass. It's about a liver overloaded with fat and a hormone system constantly stressed by blood sugar swings. You can eat healthy and still silently accelerate aging. You can eat salads and smoothies and still spike insulin. You can go vegan and still lose muscle. You can eat high protein and still inflame your system. Longevity is not about labels. It's about physiology. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the longevity diet I personally designed, a vegan, high-protein, metabolically optimized framework built around stable insulin, strong muscle retention, liver protection, hormonal balance, cellular repair pathways like autophagy, and AMPK activation. And we're going to break this down clearly, like we're standing at a whiteboard together. Because when you understand the why behind food, you stop guessing. You stop chasing trends. You start engineering your biology. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body like a hybrid engine. It can run on glucose, it can run on fat, but if you constantly overfeed it processed carbohydrates, even plant-based ones, you keep it stuck in sugar-burning mode. That means high insulin, and high insulin over time accelerates aging. But if you combine strategic protein intake with fiber-rich polyphenol-dense plant foods, you shift into metabolic flexibility. You protect muscle, you activate longevity pathways, you calm inflammation. That's the sweet spot. And that's exactly what we're building today. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to hit optimal protein targets without animal products, how to control insulin while staying plant-based, how to time your meals for cellular repair, which specific foods activate longevity genes, and how to avoid the most common vegan mistakes that age people faster. This matters because muscle mass after age 40 becomes a longevity organ. Insulin control determines whether your liver stores fat or burns it, and chronic inflammation quietly damages blood vessels, brain cells, and mitochondria. So this is not just about diet. It's about extending your health span, not just your lifespan. And I promise you, everything I share today will be practical. No fluff, no trends, just physiology-driven strategy you can start applying immediately. Now, before we go deeper, let me quickly outline the 5 key insights we're going to cover in this video. First, why protein quantity and quality matter more than ever for longevity, especially leucine thresholds and muscle signaling. Second, how insulin management determines whether your vegan diet becomes anti-aging or fat storing. Third, how specific plant compounds activate AMPK, reduce mTOR overactivation, and stimulate cellular repair. Fourth, why meal timing and fasting windows dramatically influence mitochondrial health. And fifth, the exact daily structure, foods, timing, and supplementation that makes this longevity framework sustainable long-term. We're not guessing, we're designing. Now let's go deep into the first principle. And this is where most people get it completely wrong. Let me explain what optimal plant-based protein really means for longevity. Let's go deep into the first principle. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most vegans are under-eating protein, and most high-protein eaters are over-activating growth pathways that may accelerate aging. The solution is not extreme, the solution is precision. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Muscle is not just about strength or aesthetics. Muscle is a metabolic organ. It acts like a glucose sponge. The more lean muscle you have, the better you manage insulin, the lower your risk of type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, cognitive decline, and even cardiovascular disease. What the research consistently shows is that after age 35-40, we begin to experience anabolic resistance. That means your muscles don't respond to protein as efficiently as they did in your 20s. So if you keep eating the same low-protein vegan diet, you slowly lose lean mass year after year. Now here's the nuance. Longevity science often talks about reducing mTOR, a growth pathway linked to accelerated aging when chronically activated. But completely suppressing mTOR is not the goal. You need pulses of activation to maintain muscle. The key is strategic activation, not constant stimulation. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of mTOR like construction workers rebuilding your house. You want them to show up, repair damage, and leave. You do not want them living there 24/7 throwing up random walls. That's what happens when you constantly snack on protein and ultra-processed foods all day long. So what's the target? For longevity and muscle preservation, most adults should aim for about 1.2, 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, especially over age 40. That's higher than the minimum RDA. And it matters. But protein quantity alone isn't enough. You must hit the leucine threshold. Leucine is the amino acid that flips the muscle-building switch. Research shows you need roughly 2.53 grams of leucine in a meal to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Here's where many plant-based diets fall short. Plants contain leucine, but in lower concentrations compared to animal proteins. That means you need intentional combinations. So how do we design this correctly? Whiteboard moment. If you weigh 70 kilos, about 154 lbes, your target protein range might be 85-100 grams per day. Instead of grazing all day, divide that into 2 to 3 substantial meals, each delivering at least 30 to 40 grams of high-quality plant protein. Best vegan protein sources for longevity: lentils, chickpeas, organic tofu and tempeh, edamame, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, pea protein isolate, black beans, quinoa. And here's the strategic move. Combine legumes with seeds or a pea protein supplement to boost leucine density. For example, a lentil bowl alone might give you 18 grams of protein. Add 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds and a scoop of pea protein. Now you're at 35-40 grams and crossing that leucine threshold. That's how you engineer it. Another critical piece: resistance training. Protein without muscle stimulus is wasted signaling. You need mechanical tension to tell your body where to use that protein. Minimum effective dose: 3 resistance sessions per week, compound movements, squats, push-ups, rows, deadlifts. Progressive overload muscle is your longevity insurance policy. And here's something powerful. Higher muscle mass is associated with lower all-cause mortality. Not because it looks good, but because it improves insulin sensitivity and metabolic resilience. Now here's where people get confused. Dr. Lee, doesn't high protein accelerate aging? Chronic overconsumption combined with constant feeding might, but pulsed, meal-based protein intake within a time-restricted window actually preserves muscle while allowing fasting periods for autophagy. It's about rhythm: build, rest, repair. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you engineer your biology intelligently, because once you understand this principle, you stop fearing protein. You start using it as a longevity tool. Now that we've built the foundation of muscle preservation, now let's talk about the second principle. And this is where even healthy vegan diets quietly fail. Insulin control determines whether your diet becomes anti-aging or fat storing. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time you eat carbohydrates, even whole grains, even fruit, even smoothies, your blood glucose rises. Your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is to move that glucose into cells. But insulin does something else. It shuts down fat burning. And if insulin remains elevated chronically, it promotes liver fat storage, increases inflammation, and accelerates biological aging. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine insulin as a storage manager in a warehouse. When insulin is high, the doors to the fat-burning room are locked. The body says, "We're storing energy right now." If that signal never turns off, then you never switch into repair mode. Repair. Now, here's the problem with many vegan diets. They are high in carbohydrates, moderate in protein, and low in fat. That combination, especially when meals are frequent, leads to repeated insulin spikes throughout the day, even if you're eating oatmeal, brown rice, bananas, and smoothies. Yes, those foods are natural, but metabolically, the body still sees glucose. What the research shows is that repeated insulin elevation contributes to insulin resistance over time. And insulin resistance is the root driver behind fatty liver, visceral fat accumulation, and accelerated aging. So the question becomes, how do we stay vegan but stabilize insulin? Whiteboard moment. Instead of building meals around starches, build them around protein and fiber first. Every meal should follow this hierarchy. Protein anchor, 30-40 grams, fiber-rich vegetables, healthy fats, strategic, controlled carbohydrates. When protein and fiber come first, they slow gastric emptying. They blunt glucose spikes. They improve insulin response. For example, instead of a morning oatmeal bowl with fruit, try this: tofu scramble with spinach, mushrooms, and avocado. Side of berries instead of banana, sprinkle hemp seeds on top. That shifts the glycemic load dramatically. Another powerful tool, meal spacing. Constant snacking keeps insulin elevated all day. Instead, aim for a 12-14 hour overnight fasting window. For many people, a 16.8 approach works even better, but you don't need to jump there immediately. The goal is simple. Give insulin time to fall. When insulin drops, fat burning turns on. AMPK activates. Autophagy begins. Your body shifts from storage mode to repair mode. And here's something important. Fruit is not the enemy, but large fruit smoothies, especially blended, remove fiber structure and accelerate glucose absorption. Chew your carbohydrates, don't drink them. Now let's talk about liver protection. When insulin is chronically high, excess glucose gets converted into triglycerides in the liver, a process called de novo lipogenesis. Over time, this contributes to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is now one of the most common chronic conditions worldwide. But here's the empowering part. Reducing insulin spikes can reverse early fatty liver changes. Studies consistently show that improving insulin sensitivity reduces liver fat and systemic inflammation. So, what are your practical tools? Prioritize protein at every meal. Eat vegetables before starches. Replace refined grains with legumes. Limit fruit to 1 to 2 servings, ideally berries. Avoid liquid calories. Create a daily fasting window. You don't need to fear carbohydrates. You need to control the metabolic context. And once you stabilize insulin, everything improves: energy, mental clarity, fat loss, hormonal balance. Because insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone, it is a longevity hormone. Now that we've stabilized muscle and insulin, we're ready for the third principle. And this is where plant-based eating truly shines. We're going to talk about how specific plant compounds activate your body's built-in longevity switches. And this is where things get really exciting. Now we move into the third principle. And this is where a properly designed vegan diet becomes extraordinarily powerful. We're talking about cellular signaling, not calories, not macros, but the biochemical switches that determine whether your cells age or repair. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Inside every cell, you have nutrient sensing pathways. Two of the most important are mTOR, the growth pathway, AMPK, the energy and repair pathway. When mTOR is constantly elevated, cells focus on growth and reproduction. That's useful in youth. But chronic overactivation is associated with accelerated aging. AMPK, on the other hand, activates fat burning, improves insulin sensitivity, stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, and triggers autophagy, your internal cellular cleanup system. Longevity is not about shutting down growth completely. It's about cycling between growth and repair. And here's the advantage of plant-based nutrition. Plants are rich in polyphenols, bioactive compounds that gently activate AMPK and reduce chronic inflammation. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of AMPK as your body's maintenance crew. When activated, it starts cleaning damaged proteins, recycling mitochondria, and improving energy efficiency. Polyphenols are like flipping the maintenance mode switch. What the research shows is that compounds such as resveratrol, quercetin, catechins, sulforaphane, and anthocyanins can influence AMPK activity and oxidative stress pathways. Now let's make this practical. Which foods activate these longevity pathways? Berries, anthocyanins; green tea, EGCG catechins; extra virgin olive oil, oleocanthal; broccoli sprouts, sulforaphane; turmeric, curcumin; cocoa, flavonols; red onions and capers, quercetin. Notice something. These are not high-calorie foods, they are signaling foods. They tell your body what to do. Whiteboard moment. If protein is the structural material, if insulin control is the metabolic foundation, polyphenols are the software upgrades. Now here's the mistake people make. They eat a vegan diet high in refined grains and ultra-processed plant foods, vegan cookies, vegan meats, vegan snack bars, and assume they're activating longevity pathways. But those foods lack polyphenol density. They spike insulin. They often contain seed oils and additives that promote inflammation. The longevity version of vegan is whole food dominant. Aim for 8 to 10 servings of colorful plant foods daily, especially deeply pigmented ones. Another critical point, microbiome interaction. Polyphenols are metabolized by gut bacteria into even more potent bioactive compounds. A fiber-rich diet enhances this effect. So when you eat lentils, leafy greens, berries, and seeds together, you're not just feeding yourself. You're feeding the bacteria that regulate inflammation, immunity, and even brain health. And here's something fascinating. Emerging longevity research shows that caloric restriction activates AMPK. But certain plant compounds can mimic aspects of that response, sometimes called caloric restriction mimetics. That means you may gain some of the cellular benefits of fasting through strategic plant compounds. Now let's translate this into daily practice. Add at least 2 of these per day. 1 cup berries, 1-2 cups cruciferous vegetables, 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil, 2 cups green tea, 1 tablespoon ground flaxseed, fresh herbs and spices. Small inputs, big signaling shifts. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you optimize your health intelligently and naturally. Because once you understand that food is information, not just fuel, you stop eating randomly. You start eating strategically. Now we've covered muscle preservation, we've stabilized insulin, we've activated cellular repair pathways, but timing matters. When you eat may be just as important as what you eat. Now let's dive into the 4th principle, meal timing, fasting rhythms, and how they impact mitochondrial health and longevity. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Mitochondria are your cells' energy factories. They produce ATP, the energy currency that powers every muscle contraction, brain signal, and hormone release. But mitochondria are sensitive. When your body is constantly fed, frequent meals, snacks, smoothies, mitochondria never get a rest. They produce more reactive oxygen species, which contributes to cellular damage over time. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of mitochondria like car engines. Driving nonstop at high RPMs wears out the engine faster, but alternating between driving and rest allows the engine to cool, self-repair, and perform better long-term. What the research shows is that fasting periods, even short ones, allow mitochondria to upregulate repair processes like mitophagy, recycling damaged mitochondria, improve insulin sensitivity, and activate longevity pathways like AMPK. Now here's where many people get confused. Fasting doesn't mean starving. It means giving your body a predictable window to repair while still getting enough nutrients during eating periods. For most adults, a 12-14 hour overnight fast is enough to trigger repair mechanisms. For more advanced individuals, a 16-8 schedule, 16 hours fast, 8 hours eating, can further enhance mitochondrial function. Whiteboard moment. If your first meal is at 8 a.m. and your last meal at 8 p.m., that's 12 hours. If you shift breakfast to 10 a.m. and finish dinner at 6 p.m., that's 8 hours of eating and 16 hours fasting. Both improve cellular repair compared to constant grazing. Here's the key connection to a vegan, high-protein diet. You want your eating window to deliver adequate protein and polyphenols, but also allow periods where insulin falls and autophagy ramps up. That combination optimizes longevity signals. Practical tools for timing. Stop snacking between meals. Focus on 2 to 3 main meals. Keep breakfast lighter and protein focused or delay slightly for a morning fast. Finish dinner 2 per 3 hours before bedtime. Hydrate with water, green tea, or black coffee during fasting periods. They don't break the fast, but support AMPK activation. For workouts, time resistance training in your eating window for optimal protein utilization. This strategy also supports circadian rhythm. Your mitochondria and hormones function best when your eating aligns with daylight hours. Late night eating can impair fat metabolism, disrupt melatonin, and increase inflammation. Remember, timing amplifies the effects of protein and polyphenols. It's the rhythm of feeding and repair that gives your cells a longevity advantage. Small adjustments, like delaying breakfast an hour or finishing dinner earlier, may seem minor, but over months they dramatically enhance mitochondrial health, insulin control, and cellular repair. Now that we've optimized protein, insulin, polyphenols, and timing, we move to the fifth principle, the daily structure, foods, and supplements that make this longevity framework sustainable long-term. Now let's move into the fifth and final principle, the practical daily structure that makes the longevity diet truly sustainable for the long term. Here's what's really going on inside your body. All the principles we've discussed, protein, insulin control, polyphenols, and meal timing, only work if they are consistently applied. Sporadic efforts, guessing, or relying on one superfood won't shift metabolism or longevity pathways in a meaningful way. Your body responds to patterns, not occasional choices. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body like a garden. You can plant high-quality seeds, protein and polyphenols, control water and sunlight, meal timing and fasting, and remove weeds, insulin spikes, and inflammation. But if you don't maintain it daily, weeds take over and your garden won't thrive. Consistency is the secret to thriving, not just surviving. So how do we structure your day for maximum metabolic and longevity benefit? Here's a model I personally use and recommend. Morning, wake up and hydrate, water, herbal tea, or black coffee. Optional light movement, walking, mobility exercises, or 10-15 min body weight. Breakfast, protein plus fiber, plus healthy fat. Example, tofu scramble with spinach, mushrooms, avocado, and a side of berries. Midday, lunch, protein-focused with colorful vegetables and legumes. Example, lentil and quinoa bowl with broccoli, red peppers, pumpkin seeds, and olive oil drizzle. Include polyphenol-rich spices, turmeric, cumin, or chili. Afternoon, optional snack if needed. Plant-based protein smoothie or handful of nuts with fruit. Keep carbs controlled and pair with protein fiber. Evening, dinner, light but nutrient-dense, emphasizing vegetables, healthy fats, and moderate protein. Example, tempeh, stir-fry with leafy greens, cauliflower, sesame seeds, and miso sauce. Finish meals 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, lifestyle boosters. Resistance training, 3x per week, ideally mid-morning or early afternoon. Walk after meals to stabilize blood sugar, prioritize 7 to 8 hours sleep, circadian alignment enhances repair and autophagy. Consider key supplements if dietary intake is insufficient. Vitamin B12, vitamin D, omega-3 from algae, and optionally creatine for muscle preservation. Notice the pattern. Protein and polyphenols anchored at every meal, controlled carbs, meal spacing to allow insulin and autophagy cycles, and consistent physical activity. Whiteboard moment. Your daily structure is like an orchestra. Protein is the rhythm section, polyphenols are the melody, insulin control is the conductor, and timing is the tempo. When all elements play together, your metabolic symphony runs efficiently, supporting muscle, minimizing inflammation, and activating longevity pathways. And here's the empowering part. This is fully vegan, fully plant-based, and highly sustainable. You don't feel deprived. You don't need exotic foods. You just eat intelligently, consistently, and in alignment with your physiology. If this has added clarity so far, consider subscribing. I post practical, evidence-based guidance every day to help you optimize your health naturally. By applying this structure, you create a self-reinforcing loop: stable insulin, strong muscle, mitochondrial health, cellular repair, visible energy, and longevity benefits. Now that we've covered all 5 principles, let's wrap everything up with a concise conclusion that ties physiology to actionable takeaways. Let's wrap everything up. Here's what we've learned today. First, muscle is your longevity organ. Protein isn't just for strength. It regulates glucose, supports metabolism, and preserves lean mass. Hitting the leucine threshold with high-quality plant proteins ensures your muscles signal for growth when needed without overactivating aging pathways. Second, insulin is your longevity switch. Stabilizing insulin through protein, fiber, and smart carbohydrate choices prevents fat storage, protects your liver, reduces inflammation, and sets the stage for cellular repair. Timing your meals and creating fasting windows amplifies this effect. Third, plant compounds are information, not just nutrients. Polyphenols in berries, cruciferous vegetables, green tea, turmeric, and cocoa activate AMPK, reduce oxidative stress, and stimulate autophagy. Pair them with fiber to feed your microbiome and enhance systemic benefits. Fourth, timing is everything. Your mitochondria need rhythm. Periods of feeding, followed by fasting, optimize energy production, repair damaged components, and reinforce longevity pathways. Meal spacing, circadian alignment, and fasting windows are as important as what you eat. Fifth, structure is power. Daily patterns of protein, fiber, polyphenols, meal timing, and movement create consistency. Resistance training, walking, sleep, and optional supplementation complete the framework, making longevity practical and achievable, not theoretical. Let me make this simple. Longevity is not magic. It's not about extreme fasting, gimmicks, or rare superfoods. It's about understanding your physiology, controlling insulin, preserving muscle, activating repair pathways, and building daily habits that reinforce health rather than erode it. Here's your challenge. Choose just one change today. Maybe it's adding 30 grams of plant protein to breakfast. Maybe it's finishing dinner 2 hours earlier. Maybe it's including a cup of berries or broccoli sprouts. Track how your body responds over the next week. These small, consistent interventions compound over months and years, creating a true longevity advantage. If this video added value, like it and subscribe to join others optimizing their health naturally. Implement these principles consistently, and you won't just feel younger. Your body will function younger, your metabolism will be resilient, and your cells will repair themselves more efficiently. Remember, protein, insulin, polyphenols, timing, and structure. Master these 5, and you've designed the perfect longevity diet: vegan, high protein, and scientifically optimized for energy, fat loss, and cellular health. Your body is listening. Start sending it the right signals today.